See, this is the emblem of the Lord's Resistance Army. In the middle of the heart is a 10 commandment of God. We are fighting to defend the 10 commandment of God because people are not following the 10 commandment of God.
Kony is accused of controlling his forces with a mixture of distorted Christianity and brutality. Their ideology, they say, comes from the Bible.
Has God told you to fight this war?
No. It's not like that. God did not tell me to fight this war, no.
How many spirits speak to you?
Very many. I don't know the number. But they speak to me, they talk to me. You know, we are guerrilla, we are rebel, we don't have medicine. But with the help of spirit, they will tell to us, you, Mr. Joseph, go and take this thing and that thing.
South Sudan just got their independence July 9th of this year. And a lot of people that know a little bit of South Sudan, they think, well, everything's good there now. It's not true. They're still fighting in Abyei, there's fighting in the Nuba, there's fighting in the Blue Nile. But the big thing is there's still thousands of children dying per month inside of Darfur. We got to look where the problem's coming from. The problem from all of this is coming from President Bashir, the president of Northern Sudan. This man is the only president in all of history to have war crime charges placed on him, and he's still in office. All of the little rebel groups, like if you watch the movie, you'll see it's the Lord Resistant Army, the LRA, but they're fully financed by the president of Northern Sudan, Bashir.
The courtship between Kenya and South Sudan is progressing smoothly, and Kenya's Energy Minister Kiraitu Murungi and his South Sudan counterpart Stephen Deu confirmed it when they put ink to paper, signing an agreement to constitute a joint commission that will oversee the construction of the Lamu South Sudan pipeline.
The pipeline belongs to the government of South Sudan, and that's going to be constructed on the Kenyan territory. And we are facilitating the construction of the pipeline, and the Joint Commission is just going to fast track the wary acquisition and other aspects relating to construction of the pipeline.
The pipeline is part of a larger plan to open up the northern corridor linking Lamu to South Sudan and Ethiopia. This will in turn open the region to development and foreign markets for local products.
This project will play a crucial role to develop mutual economic interests for the two countries.
The project will not only open South Sudan's oil fields to Kenya, but also take Kenya's fiber optic connections to South Sudan.
The South Sudanese president greeted Washington wearing his trademark American cowboy hat. International investors welcomed him as a celebrity.
I want to invite you today to come with me to South Sudan after this conference to help develop our potential in oil, gas, and mineral resources.
The oil is a boon for the world's newest country, but it's also a strain. South Sudan ended up with 70% of the oil fields in its independence breakup, but South Sudan is landlocked, so it relies on Sudan to the north for pipelines. U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton said oil can lift South Sudan out of poverty. But she warned, if managed poorly,
you will fall prey to the natural resource curse, which will enrich a small elite, outside interests, corporations, and countries, and leave your people hardly better off than when you started.
But some analysts are concerned that disputes over borders and oil and mineral resources could still prevent any lasting accord. They also point to the threat posed by the Lord's Resistance Army and its notorious leader, Joseph Kony, wanted for war crimes by the International Criminal Court. The fear now is that this brutal group could link up with the North Sudanese government in Khartoum and be used as a proxy to destabilise the fledgling nation to the south.
Developing story tonight, we were surprised to get word today of a new overseas deployment of U.S. troops. President Obama has ordered American forces into another war zone, Central Africa. 100 combat-equipped troops are being sent to advise and train local forces who are battling rebels terrorizing 4 countries, including Uganda and South Sudan. In a letter to congressional leaders today, the president said the Americans will not be fighting unless they're fired upon.
The surprise announcement came in a letter from the White House to Congress. It immediately raised a key question. Why is the U.S., which is already involved in 2 long wars, deploying troops now?
It goes back to one thing, oil. Let's remember, Uganda has oil. It changes the calculus always with U.S. foreign policy when it's a country that is seen to be rich with this resource that's become almost an addiction for the U.S. and the global economy.
So Gav, are you ready? Yeah. I'm gonna ask you some questions, and you can just look at me and ask and answer the questions to me.
I'm kind of nervous.
What do I do for a job?
I stop the bad guys from being mean.
Who are the bad guys? Do you know where
Star Wars people.
Star Wars people?
Yeah.
Those are the bad guys?
Yeah.
Can I tell you the bad guy's name?
Yeah.
This is the guy, Joseph Kony.
He's the bad guy?
Yeah. Who's this?
Jacob.
Joseph Kony, he has an army, okay? And what he does is he takes children from their parents and he gives them a gun to shoot, and he makes them shoot and kill other people.
But they're not going to do what he says because they're nice guys, right?
Yeah, they don't want to do what he says, but he forces them to do bad things. What do you think about that?
Sad.
Although there are a lot of warlords, murderers, and dictators in the world, the perversity of Kony's crimes made him first on the court's list. What do you think we should do about it?
We should stop him.
But everyone in Washington we talked to said there is no way the United States will ever get involved in a conflict where our national security or financial interests aren't at stake. We built a community around the idea that where you live shouldn't determine whether you live. We were committed to stop Kony and rebuild what he had destroyed. And because we couldn't wait for institutions or governments to step in, we did it ourselves, with our time, talent, and money. All of this was funded by an army of young people who put their money toward their belief in the value of all human life. They gave a few dollars a month of what little they had. In furtherance of the Congress's stated policy, I have authorized a small number of U.S. forces to deploy to Central Africa to provide assistance to regional forces that are working toward the removal of Joseph Kony from the battlefield. Sincerely, Barack Obama.
The surprise announcement came in a letter from the White House. The U.S. president's decision commits U.S. troops to help
through advice and assistance, not putting Americans into combat, to help the countries of the region end this threat once and for all, then that was a worthwhile investment.
After 8 years of work, the government finally heard us. And in October of 2011, 100 American advisors were sent into Central Africa to assist the Ugandan army in arresting Kony and stopping the LRA. It was the first time in history that the United States took that kind of action because the people demanded it. Not for self-defense, but because it was right. Here's the biggest problem. Yeah. You want to know what it is?
Yeah.
Nobody knows who he is.
But I know, but I know who he is because I see him on this picture right now.
He's not famous. He's invisible. Joseph Kony's invisible. Here is how we're going to make him visible. We are going to make Joseph Kony a household name, not to celebrate him, but to bring his crimes to the light. And we are starting this year, 2012. We are targeting 20 culture makers and 12 policymakers to use their power for good. Let's start with the 20 culture makers. Celebrities, athletes, and billionaires have a loud voice, and what they talk about spreads instantly.
I'd like indicted war criminals to enjoy the same level of celebrity as me. That seems fair. That's our objective, is to just shine a light on it.
If our goal is to get Kony's name known, the known should join us. We are targeting 20 of the most diverse and influential culture makers to speak out about Kony and make him famous.
Oprah,
Mark Zuckerberg,
Ryan Seacrest,
Bono.
Then we're going after policymakers, the ones that have the authority to see Kony captured. They decide if the advisors stay or leave. So we need to remind them that in this election year of fighting and name-calling, no matter what side you're on, this is something we can all agree on.
Breaking news tonight on one of the filmmakers behind Kony 2012. That's the viral video about Ugandan warlord Joseph Kony. Well, the man behind it has been picked up by police and taken to the hospital today. An official familiar with the case confirms that Jason Russell, who you see there just on CNN last week, was found in his underwear running through the streets of San Diego yesterday, screaming and acting irrationally, and it appears it went downhill from there. Miguel Marquez has been working on this story. It is a very strange twist to all of this.
It's strange, and it gets even more disturbing. The website TMZ out of Los Angeles came up with some video of a man that they claim was, in fact, Mr. Russell, who was on the streets there in San Diego. This was yesterday morning, Thursday morning. You can see him there. He appears to be fully naked and pounding on the pavement. Police will say that at 11:28 Thursday morning, they had several 911 calls, individuals saying that there was a man in his underwear running through the streets, screaming, interrupting traffic. When police showed up, they said that there was one caller who did say that the man was naked and masturbating. Police say when they showed up, they didn't see any of that. And that the man was taken to a local medical facility, that he was not arrested, though, just taken to a medical facility. A statement from Ben Kesey of Invisible Children, who worked with Russell on that film, says that he was suffering from exhaustion, dehydration, and malnutrition, that he is now receiving medical care and is focused on getting better. The past 2 weeks have taken a severe emotional toll on all of us, Jason especially, and that toll manifested itself in an unfortunate incident yesterday. And as you know, that video went viral like no others. It brought a lot of focus on Invisible Children, a lot of it negative because of their finances and whether or not they oversimplified the situation in Uganda.
Right, there was a lot of criticism. Interesting, I mean, I don't know if you know anything, but they mentioned malnutrition. I mean, malnutrition. It's a, we have no idea why that.
Absolutely unclear. I mean, he's described as a Christian and a family man. He clearly has a family because his son is in that video. This is a guy who, by all other measures, seems to be a perfectly normal a guy who traveled overseas, was not afraid to take risks, who did a lot of things in his life. It is not very clear why he would react in this way.
All right, so he, I guess tonight, the latest we know, not placed under arrest, but in a hospital tonight.
He's getting taken care of.
All right, Miguel Marquez, thank you very much.